It's the end of the day. I just got about everything done for the day. I did go walking out in the woods, and I did find a couple of hogs out there. I found three or four hogs, and I snuck up on them for fun. And I managed to get real close to them. I got about 25, 30 yards from them before they spotted me. I could see them. I could see them, and so I snuck up. I could see them and I could hear them. Hogs. They got this kind of a grunt, and you can hear them. And so I saw them, and I just snuck up to them as close as I could get, and they spotted me, and I just kind of yeah, I just snuck up on them as close as I could get, and it's just too wet out there right now, and I'm not looking to drag a 200-pound hog through the mud to get the hog out, and I wasn't real prepared it was real wet, and I couldn't drive my truck out there. I get stuck in the mud, and so I figured I'm just gonna leave the hogs alone. I'm just gonna leave them alone, and yep, I'll go in. I'll go find them next time. There's a lot of hog poop all over the property, so I know that there's hogs out there, and so I'm not concerned about it. There are a bunch of hogs out there, and next time maybe it'll be dry, and I can take a hog and I can just drive my truck over there, and I can just pull the hog out. So today I figured, and also today I saw a great big old deer. Great big old deer, maybe a 200-pounder deer. It was a big old 200-pound deer, and it was the biggest deer that I've seen for the year. It's one of the biggest deer that I've ever seen. Just in terms of a Central Texas deer, our deer here in Central Texas, they just don't get very big. You don't hardly ever see great big old giant deer, but I legitimately saw like a 200-pound deer today. I was like, Mike, I was like, holy crap, that is a big deer, but I couldn't. You can't shoot deer without a license and without tags, and so I just let the thing go. I did see a great big old deer today too. It was the biggest deer that I've probably maybe 175 200-pound deer. I saw a great big old deer. Maybe about 175-pounder. It was a great big old deer. I was like, oh my god, that is a big deer. But I didn't. I didn't mess with it or anything. I didn't shoot it or anything. I just saw it and it ran off. So yeah. But today I figured I'll talk about my business plan. What am I looking to do for the business, and et cetera, et cetera. All right, what I got going on. With everything that happened, it does look like December will be my first time. December. Okay, so not my first time. I've brought home $30,000 a month, right? I've done that before in the past. But the whole thing about me doing what I did was because my whole thing about like if I bring home $30,000, I bring home $30,000, and then I bring home $30,000, and then I bring home $20,000, and then I don't make anything for if I bring home whatever, if I bring home 30 grand, 30 grand, 20 grand, and then I don't bring home any money for 7 months straight, and then I bring home another 30 grand, and then 10 grand, and then 20 grand or whatever. If I make money like in these erratic bursts, it's just very difficult for me to run my business and to just it makes it very difficult for me to run the business properly, right? I mean, it's like if I sell, and also it puts me at risk of market movement, right? The whole thing about a market movement is, it's I'm looking to invest into the market very frequently, right? I am looking to invest into the market all the time. Trading the average is the big idea. I'm looking to trade the average. I'm not looking to dump all my money into the market at the same time. And it's like if I bring home a giant chunk of money and then I don't bring home any money for like 5 months, and then I bring home another giant chunk of money, and then I go and I dump all the money into the market. When I bring home all the money, and it just turns into this kind of this not a very good financial situation. And so the way that I've distributed out the money is so that I am effectively selling animals every month and buying animals every month, so that I can spread the money out equally. And with everything, I did get things just pushed back a little bit because I had that one animal get sick. Right, one of the sumo bros was looking like he was getting sick, and so I got him fixed up. I got him a bunch of antibiotics, and he's looking like he's doing a lot better now. He's looking okay, and so I figured, well, because of everything that happened, right, things got pushed back, and everything. It does look like I will be selling about 10 calves starting in December, and I'll probably have another 10 calves or so ready in. It does look like I will be selling about 10 calves in December. Okay, and then I'll probably have another 10 ready to go. Very shortly afterwards. But I'll have to see. I'll have to see how many animals I can precondition, etc., etc. It does look like I will be selling about 10 animals in December, and I'll be buying maybe 15. Okay, and I'll probably end up either the whole thing. Okay, with I'll probably have another 10 ready to go. About shortly thereafterwards. But I'm not really worried about it. It's not, it's whatever to me. My whole thing is I'm just looking to grow the size of my herd, and so with the business, the way that it's going right now, I do believe that okay, so my whole thing about money, right, is like the whole thing about money is the thing that I ask myself is what am I looking to buy? Okay, this is the thing about me is that I did very well for myself. I do very well for myself, and one of the things that I mention all the time in terms of doing well for myself, it's very important to learn to not kick myself in the dick, right? Don't kick yourself in the dick. That's it's always the most important thing. Don't be an idiot. That's the most important thing because like if I took my money and I've discussed this the whole thing. There are a lot of people who take their money when they start a business. Their whole idea of starting a business is so that they can run their business and then go and do something else, right? This is what happens to a lot of people. A lot of people actually end up in a situation where they think that getting into business is a means of doing something else. But me, I don't see it like that. Me, when I run my cattle business is effectively my very top priority, other than God. Okay, I don't sell my soul to the devil for money. I don't do ridiculous things for money. The cattle business is effectively my top priority. I don't work in the cattle business so that I can take the money and then go and do something ridiculous with the money. Okay, I take the money and I put the money back into the business. And so the whole idea of the business plan, with everything that I got going on right now, I figure, well, I'll be making about $20,000 a month, and that $20,000 a month will be from a 5 to 10% liquidation, roughly a 10% liquidation of the cattle herd, and so the whole idea right now is that I will be leveraging against my cash flow, right? It's a very easy way to keep track of the leverage and just to put things in perspective. Just to put things in more of a detailed look at the business plan. Is that if I'm making $21,000, let's say I bring home a check, right, and that check has roughly $21,000 on it. If I was going to leverage against a third of it, how much would I be leveraging, right? It'd be 7 grand. I'd be leveraging for $7,000. And what can I realistically do for $7,000? Right? If I'm leveraging for $7,000 a month, that's $84,000 a year, right? And what can I realistically get for $84,000 a year? Well, what is a $1 million loan, right? Like if I was going to take a loan for $1 million, and it was 6.5% interest, 6.5% interest on $1 million would be 6,500 would be $65,000 a year, right? If I took $1 million, right, the whole thing about if I go to the bank and I take a loan, I take a loan for $1 million, right? Let's say I take a loan for $1 million. That $1 million loan, and let's say that the banker says I pay 6.5% interest. I pay 6.5% interest on the loan, and I pay I got to pay off the principal in 30 years. So it'd be a 6.5 plus 3.33%. Okay, so it'd be a 9 point. It effectively be about 10% of the loan. So if I'm paying 10%, right? If I'm paying 10% on a million, then how much am I paying? Right? And if we really want to get into the nitty gritty, but I mean the 3.33%, that's technically principal, and but also the loan is amortized, so you'll be paying more interest towards the front of the loan. You may be paying disproportionately more interest on the front end of the loan, but the whole thing about it is let's just take the principal away from that because that's effectively the money that's going back into my pocket. And the whole thing about principal is that if I take right? If I well, I mean, just for the the for simplicity's sake, if I pay 6.5% on a million, right? If I pay 6.5% on a million, and let's just say I pay $7,000 a month for the loan. $7,000, let's say I pay $6,000 a month for the loan, right? And I'm looking to leverage against 7%, or I'm looking to leverage against 7,000. Then that leaves me an extra $1,000 a month, and I reasonably anticipate, the whole thing about the me investing. I feel like this is getting confusing, and it's not supposed to be confusing. That's the whole thing. Is that all of this stuff is very simple. It's not complicated. If you take a look at a loan and you need to pay interest on the loan, then you just take the percentage of the interest, and you take the percentage of, like, if you take a loan for $1 million and the bank says it's a 5% interest, then you're paying $50,000 a year for it. Okay, and then you also need to pay principal. You need to, the payoff principal is 30 years, then you'll be paying, roughly 3.33% of the principal amount. But also, loans are usually amortized. Okay, mortgages and loans for land are usually amortized, and so you'll be paying disproportionately more interest. All right, but loans aren't confusing. You just figure out how much interest you need to pay, and then the banker will tell you how much you pay on a monthly basis. Okay, like if you have a piece of property that you're looking to sell, or if you have a piece of property that you're looking to buy, excuse me, if you have a piece of property that you're looking to buy and you take that property to the bank, they will tell you how much you need to pay on a monthly basis. Okay, and they will tell you whether or not you qualify for the loan. And so me, right now, I would reasonably anticipate that, if not starting next month, starting very soon, by about March or so. I'm already about a third to halfway done. I've already got it just about finished. I will be making about 20. I'll be paying myself about $21,000 a month, and the reason that I'll be paying myself, and also none of this stuff is definite. When it comes down to it, I pay myself whatever I need, and ultimately, what ultimately ends up happening is that I just, I'm not on a schedule for anything. All right, when it comes down to it, I pay myself whatever I need, and everything else is just whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter to me. No, I'm not on a schedule for anything. And so I would reasonably but I will say that I reasonably anticipate that I will be paying myself about $21,000 a month here very shortly, and I am looking to leverage against a third of it. So if I leverage against a third of it, if I leverage against 7,000, and let's say for that $7,000, let's say I get a loan for $1.25 million. Okay, let's say I do $1.25 million for that 7,000. That leaves me with 14,000, right? So I effectively, I can invest the $1.25 million, right? What am I looking to do with that money? I'm looking to buy myself some land, and I'm also looking to buy myself some cattle. And the whole thing is that 14 grand that's left over, right? Not now, I don't have $5,000 a month left over. Now I have $14,000 a month left over, right? And even right now, the $5,000 a month left over, a very just easy way to look at this is that me right now, I am not investing with any debt. Okay, and when I talk about this stuff, it just I like to just make as much of an emphasis on this as possible. I'm not lying about any of this. Okay, I'm not lying about it. God is my witness. If I had a Bible, I'd put my hand on it. All right, I'm just being completely straightforward, honest about it. I'm not lying about any of this. All right, when it comes down to it, it just is what it is. All right, if I had a Bible, I put my hand on it. Okay, I'm not lying about this stuff. From the for the best of my knowledge, okay, when it comes down to the cattle business, I reasonably anticipate that when I sell 10, I will be able to buy 15. I will be able to buy everything that I need, and I will still have about $5,000 left over. Okay, that's what I reasonably anticipate. And let's say that that's all I did for the rest of my life. I didn't use any debt. Okay, and that would be with me using zero debt. I would still be growing my business by 50%, compounding effectively every 7 months. Okay, I'd effectively be growing my business by 12.5% every single month. Okay, and the whole thing about the insurance money, in the $5,000 that I have left over a month, that's how much money I have left over after I've expanded my business by 12.5%, bought everything that I need, and I still have $5,000 left over. Okay, and so the whole big idea with all this is that we all even if I did, even if this was all I did for the rest of my life, I would still end up extremely rich. And the thing is, the what I discuss is that I don't even have to get there to be extremely rich. I am already extremely rich. All right, and the easiest way to describe this is that me right now, after I pay for everything and I grow my business by 12.5%, I after all of that, I have $5,000 left over. If I need more than $5,000, I can just, if I need whatever, if I need $7,000, but you see how ridiculous that sounds. I don't need I don't need more than 5 grand. Okay, if I've already paid for all of my bills, I paid for all of my bills and I've grown my business by 12.5%, and I have $5,000 left over. Why would I need more than 5 grand? I've already paid for everything that I need. I've already paid for my mortgage. I've already paid for all of my bills. I've already paid for everything that I need. My monthly expenses turn out to be about $3,500 a month, something like that. Like if I was not running my business, my monthly expenses would be like 4 grand. Okay, I would, my monthly expenses would be like 4 grand if I wasn't running my business, and it's very, just understand that for me, I would be paying all of my bills, growing my business by 12.5%, and I would still have $5,000 left over. And that $5,000, I'm not thinking about it as leftover money that I can just go and YOLO it. I'm thinking about it as insurance money. I will hold on to that money, and then I told myself, I told myself the whole thing about it is the thing about the insurance money is that 2 months later, the insurance money I really only need it for about a month, 2 months. Okay, realistically, I may only even need it for a month, and if I don't need it after a month or two, then I can use it. Okay, it's like me paying myself. It's like me being my own insurance company. All right, that's how I think about it. I'm gonna put that money aside, and if something happens, and I can use that money to insure the growth of the company. What I am insuring is the growth of my LLC. Okay, I am insuring the growth of my LLC. That's what I am doing with the money, with the insurance money. My insurance product is the growth of my business. I am insuring the growth of my business. Okay, but after I've done that, after I have ensured that my growth has been achieved, the 12.5% has been achieved. After that, I can spend the money on whatever the heck I feel like. And think about this: how would I even spend $5,000 a month? How would I even do that? How and the thing is, my business still grew by 12.5%. And if you think about this on a compounding effect, I make about the check in my hand. Okay, the check in my hand in December will be about 20 grand. The check in my hand from a 10% liquidation, I will make 20 grand. My actual earnings, like if I legitimately needed to pull as much cash as I can out of my business, how I would do it is I would sell all of my 800 pounders, I would sell all of my 900 pounders, I would sell all of my 700 pounders and all of my 600 pounders. And effectively, all of my animals are profitable right now. All of them are. I mean, I could sell all my animals, right? And that's how much money I actually make. I in all honesty, I realistically make I make closer to about I probably make close to about $40,000 $35, 40,000. The check in my hand is going to be about 20 grand. Okay, the check in my hand is going to be about 20 grand, and that's going to be from a 10% liquidation. I will pay for all of my bills. I will grow my business by 12.5%, and I will still have $5,000 left over. And that all of the numbers will go up by effectively 12.5% every single month. Every single month. And if I need more than 5 grand, I can just sell a couple of more animals. But I'm not even going to think about needing more than 5 grand, because how do you even spend 5,000? Like, and I'm not saying how do you spend $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month on top of everything that I've already paid for all of my bills. I've already paid for everything that I need, and I would have to go and spend $5,000 a month, right? I mean, it's just not gonna happen. Okay, it's just not gonna happen. And here's the thing: if I just lived my life exactly the way that I'm living it right now forever. I didn't use any debt. If I legitimately did not use any debt, and I only grew the business by reinvesting the earnings, and I just held on to some insurance money, and I used the insurance money 2 months afterwards, right? I would still be growing my business by 12.5% compounding on a monthly basis. All right, that's like me. That would be like me, just about doubling the size of my cattle herd, just over doubling the size of my cattle herd every year. I'd be making just over 100% return. I'd be making like 140% return a year. All right, and I would still be sitting on cash, large amounts of cash, like over $100,000 a year, even in the first year because it's compounding. The first month it would be 5,000. The second month it would be like 5,700. The third month it'd be like 6,400, and then it'd be like 7,200. Compounded by 12.5% on a monthly basis. That's how much money I'm making. All right, even if I did not change anything and I didn't do anything else, and this was all I did for the rest of my life, I would, and I'm not going to say I would end up extremely rich. I am already extremely rich. My financials are going up in an upwards direction. I don't have major problems. I don't do drugs. I don't gamble. I don't do ridiculous things. I don't want anything from anybody. The whole thing. I don't. I legitimately don't want anything from anybody. Legitimately, I don't want anything from anybody. Nobody's offering me anything. I guarantee it. I don't care about your worthless deal. All right. I don't want anything from anybody. I'm being completely serious about it. I don't want anything from anybody. I do just fine on my own. All right. I do hope that more people make it. That is one of my big things. Is like if I'm the only one that makes it, if I am legitimately the only one that makes it, then it was like all of this is for nothing, right? It was all for nothing because what am I gonna do about it? Am I gonna go and solve the problem by myself? What am I gonna do about it? Am I gonna go and run 40 million cattle by myself? Right? If I'm the only one that makes it, then it's legitimately to me in terms of like a cosmic reality. It was like it was all for nothing. If I'm the only one that makes it, it's like all of this was for nothing because I can't solve the problem by myself. It's not possible. What am I going to do about it? All right, more people need to make it and more people need to be successful. And I already live in a situation where even if all I did was this for the rest of my life, understand that my numbers right now are effectively going up by 12.5% all the time, every single month. Every single month that goes by, my numbers increase by 12.5%. And so think about it like this: the equity of my herd, the number of animals that I have, would just about, I would just over double the number of animals that I have every single year. If I have 50 animals right now and I just did what I did, I would effectively by next year, this time next year, I would have 125. And if I have 125 animals at a time, I'm effectively running about 250 cattle a year. Okay, and if right now I'm making $5,000 a month extra, within 1 year, that $5,000 would be like 15,000. I'd be making an additional. I would have $15,000 a month left over, not 5,000. All right, and that would be with me using zero debt, and I do use debt. I do use leverage. I'm not encouraging anybody to go and leverage themselves to the eyeballs. If you don't understand what you're doing, don't throw money at it. Right? That's the golden rule with debt. If you don't know what you're doing, don't throw money at it because it's not going to do anything. It'll just make your problem worse. All right? If you can't make money on it to begin with, adding more money to it is not going to do anything. All right? My whole thing is like with my situation, even if I had nothing, if I had $1,000, I could redo everything that I had. All right, it's not, to me, it's just whatever. All right, if I had $1,000, I could redo everything that I had. I could redo it all by myself. All right, and that's legitimately the situation that I'm in. It's like when I take a look at it, all of this that I did and everything would have, all of this that all of it would have. I'm not gonna say what I did because that makes me sound like an arrogant, selfish prick. Everything would have effectively been for nothing if I'm the only one that makes it. Excuse me. All of it would have been for nothing. Because think about it. There is no way that I am going to solve the problem by myself. All right, it's just not possible. I got something in my throat, but there's no way that I'm solving the problem by myself. And if we don't have more people make it, then it's like it was all for nothing. All right, and I'm gonna just be honest about it. I already make enough money to where I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned about it at all. Legitimately 0%. All right. I work by myself. I work alone. I do very good. I do very well. I effectively make more money than effectively anybody on the entire planet. My numbers are going up by about 12.5% on a monthly basis. And that would be with me using zero debt and only reinvesting my earnings. And if I did this, just to put things in a realistic perspective, if this was all I did for the next year, I didn't use a leveraging system or anything. I didn't use any leveraging system or anything. All right. And if this was all I did, by this time next year, I would have about 125 cattle. I'd be running, I'd have about 125, 150 cattle. I'd be running about 250 cattle a year, and I would not have $5,000 a month left over. I would have about 15,000. I would have about 12. I would have about $12,500 a month left over, not 5,000. All right, my insurance policy on a monthly basis would be about 12,500 left over after I paid for everything and grown my business by 12.5%. That's the situation that I'm in, and this is also what I mean by I don't have to get there to be rich. I'm already rich. If I legitimately need more money than what I got right now, I will just sell more cattle and just liquidate more assets. I'll just take more money out of my cattle herd. All right, I'm not gonna, oh my god, now it's, now, oh my god, whatever, right? I just sell more cattle, all right? It's not that big of a deal. If I legitimately needed more money, and my whole thing about legitimately needing more money is if I legitimately needed more money, I could just wait because all of my numbers are going up every month, right? All of my numbers are going up every month. It's like, oh my god, well, I want to buy myself a house, and I want to. Then it's like, well, if I can't afford it today, I could probably afford it in 3 months. And in all honesty, houses are not that expensive. Not here in Texas. Houses are not expensive. I can almost guarantee you that I could build a freaking mansion on a massive piece of land for $3 million, like half an hour away from Dallas, legitimately, like a freaking castle on a massive piece of land, and it'd be like $4 million, okay, and it wouldn't even be that big of a sum of money. It wouldn't even be a lot of money. I guarantee it. And so it's not like it's whatever. All right, it's like if I and whatever and it's like, oh my god, well, right now with everything going on right now, I can logically, I can reasonably invest about $1.5 million, I think, reasonably, when I take a look at it from an objective lens. By about May of next year, June of next year, I'd be looking to invest about $1.5 million. That's what I reasonably anticipate. I'd be looking to invest about $1.5 million. And my whole thing about the leveraging system, right? And when I talk about the new leveraging system, and I talk about the new leveraging system, let's just go over it to just make sure that it makes sense. Okay. The whole thing about the leveraging system is I'm looking to leverage against 1/3 of my earnings. Okay, so if I bring home 21 grand, I would be leveraging against 7,000. Okay, I go to the bank and take loans for up to $7,000 a month. Okay, and the whole thing is if I leverage against 7,000, that leaves me with 14,000, right? That leaves me with $14,000 a month. That $14,000 a month is my money. If I need to use that money to increase the equity stake, if I look at my balance sheet and I think that, well, I think my net worth I believe that my net earnings on a monthly basis are going to fall below $21,000 a month. Like, let's say I'm looking at my balance sheet and I'm like, whatever, ABCD has happened, and I reasonably anticipate that the amount of money that I'm bringing home on a monthly basis will be less than 21 grand. Then I would stop leveraging and invest my $14,000 into the business, right? That's what I would do. Maybe I could go and buy two 600 pound animals, three 500 pound animals, and four two 300 pound animals, four 400 pound animals, whatever it may be, and then that would stabilize the business, right? I can take my 14 grand and I can invest that as my own equity into the business to make sure that that's the insurance money, okay? I can use that money to make sure that I am at least making $21,000 a month. And chances are the amount of money, if I invest money, if I take $1.5 million, $1.5 million is what I can afford, okay? That's about what I can afford right now. But the big idea is if I take when I take that $1.5 million and I invest that money, I should be making more money with it, okay? I should be making more money. That's the big idea. I take that $1.5 million, I put it back into my business and I grow my business with it. If I do that, the amount of money that I bring home on a monthly basis should be over 21 grand. It should be over 21 grand, and I would reasonably, but the whole thing is, the amount of money that I make on a monthly basis is going upwards very quickly. It is going upwards very quickly. I'm not even going out of my way to make more money. If anything, I'm slowing down the growth of my business. If anything, okay, I'm actually slowing down the growth of my business. My animals. There's nothing I can do to make them gain twice as much weight. They're not going to go put on 6 pounds a day, and et cetera, et cetera. So I just gotta wait for my animals to get bigger, and then I gotta get my animals some vaccinations. There are things that are happening, and I'm actually slowing down the growth of my business, intentionally to reduce the amount of risk exposure. Okay, and when it comes down to it, I do very well for myself. I'm already very rich. I'm already very rich right now. I would reasonably anticipate that even right now I have $5,000 a month left over after I've paid for everything, and my numbers are going up across the board at about 12.5% every single month, and I am not using any debt. All right, I'm not using any debt. I do reasonably anticipate that I will be using debt early next year, and I reasonably anticipate that I can invest. I will be able to afford about $1.5 million. That's what I reasonably anticipate that I will be able to afford. And if you think about $1.5 million from now until 5 months from today, 6 months from today, $1.5 million is about $250,000 a month. Okay, so I will be looking to invest about $200,000 to $250,000 a month from now until about May. All right, and the whole thing is when I invest that money, it should be driving my income upwards. All right, that it should be happening. Okay, if my numbers are going downwards, then something is wrong. Okay, and the whole thing about if my numbers are going downwards, the reason that I'm doing this the way that I'm doing it, right? The reason that I'm setting up the leverage system the way that I'm doing it is I'm leveraging against 1/3 of my earnings, so that 2/3 of my earnings are still there. I still have 2/3 of my earnings as just cash. And if I need to add that cash into the business to ensure that my earnings stay over $21,000 a month, then I'll effectively be good to go. Okay, but I shouldn't be worried about it. I'm not worried about it. The whole thing is, the way that I set these things up is to just not lose sleep over it at night. I already make a tremendous sum of money. Why would I risk what I have? Why would I risk? Why would I add risk to make some unnecessary amount of money that I don't need? And the whole thing about money is like if I legitimately think I need more money, if I genuinely think I need more money, I can just wait a couple of months. All right, here in about 5 months, I won't just have $5,000 a month left over. I'll have 14,000. All right, I'll have $14,000, and I would still be investing about $200,000 a month, and I would still have $14,000 a month cash left over to do whatever the heck I feel like with it. And my whole thing is like if I invest that $14,000 a month into the business, if I put them, which I probably will end up doing simply because, or I'll just buy the S&P with it or something because it's like, what do I even do with that? What do I even do with that? I don't even know, right? And so it's like, what should I even do with it? Maybe I'll probably end up putting it into my business, or I'll just buy the S&P 500. But if I put the $14,000 a month into my business, I will probably also have to leverage against a third of that because that's equity that my money that I'm putting back into the business on a monthly basis. And my earnings should actually be going up by about 12% every month, and actually be going up by more than 12% a month when I add the leverage. Okay, It will be. I'm just saying it's gonna be. I make a lot of money. That's what it boils down to. It just is what it is. I'm not being malicious about it. I'm not looking to be an arrogant prick about it. I'm not even going out of my way to make more money. It just is what it is. I make a lot of money.